I am Dr. McClanahan, and I am the Director of Advanced Academics for Waco ISD. And this is part of our parent-student series for college readiness. This is actually session number 7. And tonight we're going to be talking about dual credit, what dual credit is, what articulated credit is, and what the Accelerate program is. And so I'm really glad to have you all here tonight. So the first thing is the goal of our session tonight is to increase understanding of our dual credit, what dual credit is, the types of classes that are offered in Waco ISD, the process for choosing and enrolling in those classes, and the opportunities that are offered by the Accelerate program and the ways in which all of these can benefit students in Waco ISD. We're going to be addressing a few basic questions. What are dual credit classes and how are they different from advanced placement? What kinds of dual credit classes do we offer in Waco ISD? What is the Accelerate program and who can participate? And what are the benefits of participating in dual credit classes? As I said, I'm Dr. McClanahan. I'm from the Office of Advanced Academic Studies. We have with us Londa Carivo, who is the dual credit coordinator, the high school pathways coordinator at MCC. Ms. Brittany Davis, wave Brittany, she is the academic advisor from University High. And Ms. Shantae Reed, who is the college and career readiness counselor here at Waco High. And we all work together to facilitate the entire dual credit program in Waco ISD. And let me just kind of put this into context for you. 2 years ago, in the 14-15 school year, we had 228 enrollments in dual credit classes. So one student might be taking 2 dual credit classes, and so they would count as 2, but altogether we had 228 enrollments. Last year, our dual credit program had a 149% growth, and we ended the year with 667 dual credit enrollments. This year, we have had another 135% growth. So by the end of this year, we will have enrolled the kids in Waco ISD in 1,092 dual credit courses. And that is something really to be proud of, because once you hear about what these classes are and what their value is, that's really fantastic. And I want to say thank you to you, because the reason that we're able to do that for the kids of this district is because of the tax ratification election we had last November, when you voted the bond election, the tax rate increase, because part of that money was actually for dual credit. And what we are able to do now in the district is we are able to offer dual credit coursework to every student that qualifies, and we pay for it all. We pay all the tuition, we pay all the fees, we buy all the books. And that is really a fabulous thing, and I will tell you that I don't know of a single other district around here that does that. So thank you. So we're going to move into talking about dual credit, and I'm going to ask Ms. Carivo to come up and talk about dual credit.
Okay, let's talk really quickly. My office, the High School Pathways Office, covers 4 different programs, basically all the different ways that a high school student can earn college credit while still in high school. Those are dual credit. Those are specifically when students take college coursework and they're awarded both college credit and high school credit for that one college class. Early college high school, which we're going to skip over really quickly because Waco ISD does not have an official early college high school designation. Early admission, that's when students take the college courses in high school, but they take them for college credit only. And then the final one is articulated credit, and that one is a unique program that involves students taking certain specified high school courses that are listed in an agreement, typically between the ISD and the college. And under certain conditions, when those conditions are met, the student can receive college credit for a specific high school course. That's the one I want to talk about first, just really briefly. We see a little bit less of that, and so we're going to spend more time on the dual credit. But for articulated credit, it is a high school course. The teacher is actually certified under a state program. Once the student completes the course, and there are certain conditions, and typically I believe it has to be a B or better, the student has, I believe it's 15 months after high school graduation to contact the college and claim the credit. Some students will claim it. It's actually a benefit, and those courses will be on their college degree plan. For other students who don't need that course for their college degree plan, this might not be something they want to do. But you can contact either the CTE director or the high school counselor for more information about which courses will count for articulated credit through Waco ISD. Okay, just jump backwards to the dual credit program. As I mentioned before, basically, dual credit is a program that allows a high school student to begin college early. And that's a really important distinction. You need to understand that this is not a high school program. These students are starting college early. What makes it dual credit is that they get credit in two places. The high school said, okay, we will take that college class and we will record it on the high school transcript too. So that if the student takes, let's say, English through dual credit, that English credit is recorded on the college transcript, but the high school allows that course to count as one of the English credits toward the high school diploma as well. So they're actually working toward 2 degrees at the same time. MCC offers 2 types of dual credit. One is academic. These are your courses that will typically transfer to a 4-year college and count toward a bachelor's degree. Things like math, English, history. The other type we offer are workforce courses. These courses are typically not intended to transfer to a 4-year college. Instead, they're really intended to train a student for a particular career or profession. Some of the better-known workforce courses at MCC are nursing, cosmetology, things along those lines. These are the requirements to enroll in those programs. And by state guideline, the requirements for workforce and academic dual credit are slightly different. In either case, the student needs to be enrolled in high school. We don't enroll students in dual credit at all until they have actually started high school. So fall of the 9th grade year is the first time they can take a dual credit class. For academic, the students need an 80 or higher overall high school average. For workforce, that's a 75. Then we have to look at test scores. For academic, we require every student taking an academic class to pass the state college placement test in reading or have another score that will exempt them. For workforce, we recommend a TSI reading score of 347 or higher. Finally, you need to have a passing score for anything else that's required for the course. So if you were going to take a college level math course, which is academic, the student would have to pass the TSI reading, the state placement reading, but they would also have to pass the math because that's required for a math class. With the workforce programs, if there are any special requirements for the program, those would have to be satisfied as well. And there are sometimes unusual requirements. We have an EMT program for students. Because that one is medical and involves riding out in ambulances, so students have to have certain vaccinations and things of that nature. And if it's a special program, we will get you all of that information so that you know what has to be done. Once the student is in our program, we will monitor the students to make sure that they are doing well. Once they have completed 6 credit hours, which is typically 2 courses, we'll start checking the college GPA, and it has to stay at 2.0 or higher to continue in the program. There are some very important reasons for that I'm going to touch on in just a minute. The other thing that we're going to monitor is the number of withdrawals. And I want to make sure everyone understands that when a student pulls out of a college class, roughly after the first week and a half, it puts a W for withdrawal on the college transcript. Once a student has 3 or more of those, we block them from taking classes with us for at least a year. That's when they're in high school. And again, we're going to talk about why here in just a minute. Now, let me come back to a point I made earlier, and that is that this is a program that lets students start college early. And I want to reiterate that point because it is important to have that mindset that these students are starting college. This is not high school. And there are some important differences the students need to be aware of. For one, in college, the absence policy is not lenient. And by that I mean there are no excused absences. If you are ill, the professor might let you make up the work, but they're still going to count it as an absence. And MCC has an attendance policy. If you miss 25% of the scheduled class meetings, you can be dropped from that class for non-attendance. So you really want to try to not schedule college classes or schedule doctor's appointments during your regular college class meetings. The homework load is going to be heavier. The Texas State Higher Education Coordinating Board recommends that students spend approximately 2 hours outside of class for every 1 hour spent inside of class. Now that's going to vary some, but it's a good rule of thumb to use when trying to determine how many courses you can successfully take. There will be fewer grades. You may have a course that has 3 exams and maybe 1 paper, and that will be all the grades you have for the semester. That won't be true of all of them, but it may be true for some. There is typically no close supervision. Now, working with Waco ISD, they do have more supervision than a typical high school student, than a typical college student would. But at the same time, students really have to learn to kind of self-monitor and make sure that they are taking care of business and tracking their deadlines. And finally, parents, I apologize in advance for this because I am the parent of 2 kids who went through dual credit. Once they enroll in college, the federal privacy law will not allow us to release information to you, regardless of the student's age. Now, if you want to know generic information, where do I get the paperwork? How can we log in and, check grades at the end of the semester? I can tell you how to do those things. But I can't give you, and no one at MCC can directly give you, your students' grades or anything else that's kept in our records is considered confidential. My recommendation on that, if you're contacting us, have the student contact us, and if you need to put it on speakerphone or something along those lines, that's fine. If the student gives you the information, and there are some programs at MCC where you can log in and access those sorts of things, it's absolutely fine. The student can give it to you, we can't give it to you directly. Now, remember I said there was a reason why we were checking for the 2.0 GPA and the W's? This is why. Financial aid laws changed about 4 or 5 years ago maybe, and there are some new regulations in place that everyone needs to know about, regardless of whether you decide to take dual credit or not. If you ever plan to go to college, you need to know this. In order to keep your financial aid, and this is after high school graduation, you have to meet the conditions of satisfactory progress. At MCC, that means a 2.0 or higher college GPA, we're back to the 2.0 here, and completing 67% or more of all the courses you attempt. Those W's, they count as non-completed courses and they lower your percentage. So as a general rule, whether you start college now in dual credit or you do it later, keep in mind you need to keep your GPA at 2.0 or higher, and you need to get as few W's as you can on your transcript. The other financial aid rule you need to know about is called maximum time frame. That rule says financial aid will only pay for 150% of a published college program. At MCC, an associate's degree is 60 hours. 150% of that would be 90 credit hours. Once the student has completed 90 credit hours, financial aid stops paying because they expect you to have the degree at that point. If you don't have the degree, you're paying out of pocket from then on. So what you want to keep in mind is as you choose college courses, even in dual credit, check your degree plan and see if you can reasonably expect this to count towards your college degree. If you take classes that are not on your college degree plan, it's moving you up toward that 150% limit, and it's not moving you up toward that college degree. You want to avoid that whenever possible. Here are some things to look for if you want to find out whether a course is going to count toward a degree plan. Go to the other college's website, wherever the student plans to attend after high school graduation. And I'll tell you a big college secret right now. There is always a little search box on that webpage. If you try to click on a college website and find things, you will drive yourself crazy. You will never find what you want. Go to the little search box. You want the core curriculum. All students getting a bachelor's degree have to have that core curriculum. So in the little search box, type core curriculum and hit return, and it should pull up a link with the core curriculum. The other thing you want to check is the degree plan. If the student knows what they want to major in, say engineering, type in engineering degree plan. And again, you should get a HIP that you can use for that. You want to look to see, are those courses the student is considering on either the core curriculum or the degree plan? Ideally both. Okay? Here's the tricky part. Have any of you ever looked at, say, the Texas A&M website? Their course numbers don't look anything like MCC's course numbers. So you need that secret decoder ring so you can figure out how they translate. That is the Texas Common Course Numbers. That's the system that we use. If you go onto the college website and you search for something like course transfer, transfer tool, T-O-O-L, sometimes just Texas Common Course. You will either get a tool that will let you look up the Texas Common Course number and find out the matching course number at that college, or it'll have a list of ones that they accept. That will be your best friend. Save it, keep it, don't ever let it go. Okay? What you're going to do, if that core curriculum at Texas A&M says students need English 103, and you go to that little translator and see English 103 is equal to English 1301 at MCC, then you know you can take English 1301 at MCC and you're going to be okay. I'm not going to kid you. I have never had a student yet tell me they love this so much it became part of family fun night and it was like a game. But it is absolutely worth it. When you consider that one college credit class, 3 hours at a public college, will run $900 and more, that 20 minutes or so you spend on that website digging around to find out if that course is going to transfer really pays off in the long run. And if you need help with it, we have advisors on our campus who can help you. All right, what does all this mean? It means please do a little bit of research when you're choosing your dual credit courses. You want them to count toward the college degree as much as possible. Take all of the dual credit classes seriously. These days, it is not a good idea to go in thinking, oh, my friends are trying it, I'll go for a couple of weeks, if I don't like it, I'll just quit. These days, that's not a good idea. Don't overload yourself. You want to keep your GPA as high as possible. And finally, you need to look into all of the options, including tutoring, before you decide to pull out of a dual credit course. And I will tell you right now, MCC offers free tutoring to all students. And dual credit students are our students and can get that free tutoring. If you don't know how to access it, contact Dr. McClanahan, contact your counselor, contact me, and we will be happy to get you in touch with the right people. Okay, benefits of dual credit. You definitely get college experience. You learn to do the work, you learn to start making that transition while you're still here with the support of your high school people and your family. If you take the right courses, it can shorten your time to a degree. For the Accelerate students who start these classes in 9th grade, they may have their associate's degree by the time they get out of high school. That's 2 years shaved off of a 4-year college degree. That's pretty impressive. Students who don't get as many hours can choose to take a lighter course load their freshman year. And sometimes that's a real benefit when you start full-time as a college student. It definitely lowers the cost of the degree in this case, since you don't cover any of the costs. And in many cases, students can earn weighted high school grades. Here's something, though, a benefit that fewer people know about. MCC, not too long ago, did a study comparing students on our campus who had participated in dual credit with those who had not, and our findings match those that are coming out across the country. And what we have found is that students who take dual credit, once they get out of high school, they tend to have a higher retention rate, meaning they stay in college. They have a higher GPA each semester. To me, this only follows logically. They have a higher GPA overall. And finally, one we're all really happy about, they have a higher completion rate, meaning they graduate and get that college degree. Those are definitely benefits that you want for students. Estimated costs. Remember I mentioned that public 4-year colleges are $900 and up? MCC's dual credit rate is $210 for a 3-credit hour class. That is a discounted rate. At Waco ISD, you don't even pay that discounted rate, Still significantly lower than a four-year college, but your cost is zero. MCC covers the tuition for all students who are on free and reduced lunch. Waco ISD picks up the tuition costs for those students who are not. So between the two institutions, we cover the tuition costs for the students. And then Waco ISD pays for the textbooks. I mentioned the tuition waiver. If you decide to do dual credit, whether Accelerate or regular dual credit, please take a minute to look at the tuition waiver form. If you don't fill this out and send it in and you're eligible, it means that Waco ISD pays for the course instead of us. I think they would really like you to fill that form out if you are eligible, because they're buying textbooks too. And I guarantee you, at $210 for a course, some of those college textbooks are more expensive than the tuition. All right, here's what you can start doing right now if you're interested. Our application for fall 2017 admission is open on applytexas.org. If you are interested, you can certainly go in now and start completing that application. When it asks you what is your semester of entry, if you plan to start next fall, just please be sure you check fall 2017. It will go in our computer and it will be fine. It won't matter that you did it a year out. In fact, it will just clear the way and work well. You definitely want to start looking at those other colleges to see what the degree plans and the core curricula look like. And then in the spring is going to be the time when we start talking about taking the TSI assessment, which is the state college placement exam, working on your dual credit paperwork, and then Waco ISD will tell you about deadlines to get all of these things handed in. Now, this is where you can get more information from us online. dc.mcclanahan.edu is our dual credit website. And then the Waco ISD site for their information about dual credit is listed here as well. And I'm going to put this next one up and step out of the way, because I think this is my last slide and it has my contact information on it. So if anyone needs to take a picture or something like that so that you have my contact information, I'm going to scoot to the side and let you do that. And then if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
All right, so Ms. Carivo went through a lot of good information with you, and a couple of things I want to just point out. Dual credit courses are weighted in Waco ISD. So we actually have 3 categories of classes. We have our standard level classes, which are weighted at a 1.0. We have pre-AP classes, which are weighted at a 1.1. And we have dual credit and AP courses that are weighted at a 1.15. So if I put that in regular speak, if you got 100 in a regular class, you would get 100 on your report card. If you got 100 in a pre-AP class, you would get 110 worked into your grade point average. If you got 100 in a regular class, you would get 100, but in a dual credit class, that 100 would be 115 worked into your transcript, your cumulative GPA. So students find it advantageous to sign up for dual credit coursework because if they do well, it helps their class rank and it opens up more opportunities for them after high school. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the Accelerate program. And for those of you who are in 8th grade, Ms. Carivo talked about the TSI. This year we have adopted a new TSI testing plan, and every 8th grader in the district will take the TSI in reading by the end of April. And so I think Carver and Indian Spring are testing in December. I think that Tennyson is doing it in April, and I think that they're doing it after the retest. They might be doing it in May, and I think Cesar Chavez is in April. So, but every student in the district who is in 8th grade will take the TSI this year. And the reason is because right now, the passing score for that test is scheduled to increase as of the first day of the fall semester of next year. So by having you take the test this year, then we're hoping to lock you into that passing score so that those of you who pass can actually enroll in dual credit courses or take advantage of the Accelerate program. Those of you who do not can continue to retest and get a passing score, and you will only have to meet that lower passing score. So we've got a systematic plan. Math, we are now testing during Algebra 1. Yes? The passing score right now, well, okay, the TSI is actually an adaptive assessment. So what happens is it's only 24 questions. It's given on the computer. You answer a question, and if you get it right, you're allotted a certain number of points according to the difficulty of the question. If you get it right, then you're offered a more difficult question worth more points. By the end of the 24 questions, you have to earn 351 points. As of the first day of next year, it will go up to 356. So we want to give our students the benefit of the lower score. Those who are currently in Algebra 1, we are now testing all Algebra 1 students with the TSI math test following the STAR end of course test. So it's part of the actual curriculum for the class now. So what happens is the students will take the end of course test for algebra, then they go into a little review unit for the TSI, and then they will take the TSI. And what we really are trying to do, and it works into the dual credit, is we want less students from Waco ISD having to go into remedial coursework in college. Because what we know from every study that has come out from the Department of Education is that when students have to take remedial courses, fewer of them finish. The last study that I saw said that if a student has to take even one developmental course in college, it decreases their chances of completion by 75%. And we want our students in Waco ISD to go on to post-secondary schooling and finish a degree. So we are going to try to get them TSI complete by the time they graduate, so when they walk into college in Texas, they are not required to take a single developmental class. That is our goal. So that works right along with the Accelerate program. So the Accelerate program is a brand new program that started in Waco ISD in June, this past June. It is a program. In some schools, it is called an early college high school program. We, as a district, decided not to apply for that designation because it also brings along with it certain restrictions. For instance, if we had an early college high school here at Waco High or at University High, we would have to have a separate English 1 class for early college high school kids than we would for kids who were not in the early college high school. And currently, we do not have enough enrollment that we could actually have those classes make. So by not getting that endorsement, what we do is we keep ourselves open to more possibilities. And since we have such a wonderful partner in McClanahan, they actually helped us develop these early degree plans so that we can offer our students the exact same thing that an early college high school would, but we don't impose all of those restrictions on ourselves as a district. So our students will actually finish, they have the opportunity to finish an associate's degree, and the cool thing about that is if they do that, because of the schedule differences between Waco ISD and McClanahan, students would actually graduate from college before they graduated from high school, 2 weeks before. So that's kind of a cool thing. The program, like I said, is completely paid for by Waco ISD, thanks to the tax ratification election from last year. And we currently have 134 9th and 10th grade students between the two high schools that are participating. And so that's really great because that means in 2 years we have the potential to have, I think we have 70 sophomores right now actually finish a degree before they graduate. Other things, we offer 6 different pathways in this program. So what we did was we sat down, a group of us at McClanahan, we sat down and we talked about which degrees were the most applicable to the academies and the high school diploma endorsements that our students have to choose. And we set out 6 different pathways: information systems and applications, allied health, criminal justice, business. Then we have a general science and a general liberal arts. So I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about those pathways so that you understand how they work. So the first one, information systems and applications. What I did was on each one of these slides, I wanted to show you one of the things that our students get really wrapped up in is they think that they have to choose. That if they want to do Accelerate, that they have to choose between that and the academy at the high school. And it's difficult for me, so I wanted to put something visual together because really they all work together. So the first thing that students have to do when they're entering high school now under House Bill 5 is they have to decide what diploma endorsement that they are going to seek by the time they graduate. And so what I did was on each one of these slides, you'll see as I go through these next 6 slides, I put what high school endorsement that Accelerate pathway would fall within. Then both of our high schools are set up by academies so that we get our kids involved in career and technical education, and as they enter high school, they have to choose an academy that they will be a part of. And so I also listed what academy that would align with. And then for the third thing I put on there, at the end of the Accelerate program, if they finished it, what degree would they be awarded? So for this one, this goes along with the big business and industry high school diploma endorsement. It would be part of the Information Technology Academy at the high school. And these students earn the Associates of Applied Science in Information Systems and Applications. Now, the other thing I thought was really important to help students understand is, what does that mean? What can they do with that degree if they decide to pursue it? So you'll see at the bottom what I have is, if students decided to finish the Accelerate program, get their associate's degree by the time they graduated, and they didn't want to go on to any more school, at that point, what I put was what jobs they would be qualified to go out and apply for with that associate's degree. The second thing that I have on here is, I'm not sure if you're aware, but at MCC, they actually have a university center. And they have 6 different colleges that offer students in this local area the ability to go to MCC and actually complete a 4-year degree without having to go to that specific college campus. So Midwestern State, Texas Tech, Tarleton, they all offer 4-year degrees at MCC, which makes it a lot more accessible for our students locally. So what I have on there next is, if they went to the University Center, what degree could they finish as a 4-year degree after completing the Accelerate program? And then the last thing is just reminding that you can always take this associate's degree and transfer it out to another 4-year school of interest. So the next one, we've got general business. That would align with the business and industry endorsement. It would align with the Business and Finance Academy. And these students earn an Associate of Arts with a field of study of business. We have the Allied Health. Now, Allied Health is a special program because we have locally the Greater Waco Advanced Healthcare Academy. And it is a magnet program, a regional magnet program. So I think right now we have 11 different school districts that are actually sending students to what we call GUACA. And they actually go out, they do rotations at the hospital, they practice patient care. And so our students will actually leave the high school campus, and for half a day, they will go to GUACA. And this specific degree plan is actually run through GUACA. So students take their dual credit classes for the first 2 years on their high school campus, but when they become juniors and seniors, their dual credit classes are split. Part of them they take on their high school campus, the other ones they take at GUACA. And so this one is the Public Services Diploma Endorsement. It aligns with the Health Service Academy, and these students earn an Associates of Arts, which has been specifically tailored for students who are interested in perhaps going on to the nursing program at MCC, or going on to a program to become an EMT, or to be a respiratory therapist, so that they are taking all of those preliminary courses that lead into those other programs. Number 4 is our general science transfer. So we have a lot of students, especially if they're in 8th grade coming in as freshmen, that don't really know what they want to do right now. So what we try to do is have them focus on the larger area. Are they a math and science person, Or are they more a writing, reading type of person? And what that allows us to do is to put them into a more general degree program. So this general science program is for a student who knows that they excel in math and science and they want to do some kind of a career in that area. They just have not identified specifically which one that would be. So these students, the diploma endorsement is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. The academy alignment, it can depend on what the student's area of interest is. They might be in the engineering academy, it might be the information and technology academy, it might be in the business and finance academy. It really depends upon how they're going to use that information. And then these students graduate with an Associate of Science, a General Associate of Science that helps them complete their core courses. It gets them through the more rigorous science and math courses, and they're ready to transfer to a four-year school or to go on to the MCC University Center. And like these students, they could finish a bachelor's degree of science in biology through Texas Tech at the University Center. Okay, our next one, criminal justice. This is a really popular program. This is aligned to the diploma endorsement of public services. It is aligned to the Academy for Law and Criminal Justice. And these students actually earn an Associate of Arts with a field of study of criminal justice. So these students could go on and they could immediately go in and work in the field and work in corrections. They could work in the court system, or these students could go over to the University Center and finish a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice or Applied Science in Business, really depending upon what area of criminal justice they want to pursue. Or they could transfer out. And then the last one is our other general, which is our general liberal arts. So if you're not a math science person, you're usually in the liberal arts. So things like education and psychology and social work, those all fall within the liberal arts area. So this aligns with the Arts and Humanities endorsement. It would be under the Education Academy. It might be under Fine Arts Academy. It might be under the Hospitality and Tourism Academy. It depends on what that area of interest is for the student. And these students will earn an Associate of Arts, a General Associate of Arts, which completes their core and allows them to transfer out. Or they can go over and do a Bachelor of Arts in Child and Family Studies. They can get an early childhood or a special ed degree. They could get a bachelor's degree in psychology or social work, or they could get a degree in liberal studies. So lots of different options with these different pathways. So what you can see up here is the way that we built the plans was for them to scaffold the students into this college coursework. So our freshmen, they start off taking one dual credit course each semester. As sophomores, they take 2 dual credit courses each semester. As juniors, they take 3 dual credit courses each semester. So that we are easing them in, we're helping them to understand the rigor of the courses and the demands of the homework, and we're not overwhelming them. The other thing that we start with is right up there in the freshman year, you'll see that one of the classes in red, the dual credit classes, is learning frameworks. That is actually the orientation class for a majority of the Texas colleges. And what that class is it's a class about how does the human brain work? How do we remember things? What are the best ways for us to organize ourselves? How do we prioritize? It talks about how to manage stress, how to communicate with a professor. So we give the kids all of that success information up front so that they can figure out, if they run into problems, what to do about it. But the greatest thing is that, as Ms. Carrivo said, we have a whole support system already in place. So through our memorandum of understanding with MCC, that's our contract about which classes we can offer, although MCC cannot tell you as parents the grades, they can tell us. And so Ms. Davis and Ms. Reed, that is their job, is that they track the grades of the students in the dual credit courses. And when they see them start to struggle, they call them in. And then they start working on troubleshooting. Have you talked to the professor? Have you talked to a teacher who also teaches that? Have you gone over to MCC, to the Academic Excellence Center, to get some help? So that we make sure that our kids are being successful. And I'm happy to report that even with that 150% growth we had last year, we had a 95% pass rate in our dual credit classes. This summer, we sent students over to MCC to take summer classes. Now, these kids that went over there to take summer classes, the majority of them had just finished freshman year, okay? So these are rising 10th graders. Then we had some seniors that were going over there to get ahead, rising seniors that were taking government and economics so they could get it out of their senior schedule. Now, you have to remember, a regular semester course is 16 weeks long. A summer course is 4 weeks long. So they take 16 weeks of instruction and they put it in 4 weeks. I will tell you that our students earned 123 A's out of 138 grades. So it irks me when people say that kids in Waco ISD can't do it, because our kids can do it. If we give them the opportunities, they will take advantage of them. And that's why I'm really happy about this. And so when we were putting these 4-year plans together, we tried very thoughtfully to place the courses where we thought they would be most appropriate for the students. So if you're interested in these, you can go online, you can take a look at them, and then you can see how the degree plan actually lays out. So why would a student want to participate? Well, a couple of the same things that Ms. Carivo mentioned. First of all, they're going to decrease their college expense. Waco ISD is willing to pay for the first 2 years while they're in high school. They can move into their career faster. What studies have found, especially for gifted students, is that when they accelerate and they move into their job fields earlier, they actually experience higher job satisfaction, they move up in their careers faster, and they are actually given more commendations for the work that they do. So that's a good thing. They can complete more degrees in the same time. So one of the questions I got from parents last year was, yeah, but I really want my student to have a 4-year college experience. Well, there's nothing to say that they can't, but they've already got their first degree. They can go on and in that same 4 years, finish the rest of a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. That's pretty fantastic in the same amount of time. And then we find that it increases students' commitments to succeeding. It was amazing getting the feedback from the MCC professors that our kids had over the summer, because Ms. Carivo would tell me, oh, I got this email from a professor and they couldn't believe that they had as many dual credit kids in their class as they did because they couldn't distinguish them from the regular college students. So what we find is that when we give our kids these opportunities to kind of raise their level of work, that our kids really, they go after that, and they really do. Until last year, there was actually a law that was in place that said that students could not take dual credit courses until they were juniors, and they were limited to taking 2 classes per semester. Well, a new House bill was passed and actually removed that restriction. That was the other reason we didn't go for the early college high school distinction, because that was really the advantage of getting that distinction, was that your kids could take the classes earlier and take more of them. But once they removed that, it really took away the incentive for filling out all that paperwork. And so now our students that are not in the Accelerate program, they have opportunities to all of the classes that are available. So as we open classes for students for the Accelerate program, then any student in the high school who is interested in taking that class and has room in it for in their schedule, they can also enroll in that class, as long as they have met all of the criteria for enrollment in dual credit. Our students actually respond by committing more, and what we find because of that, like I said about the summer classes, is that our students end up, their grades go up, they really do prove to us that they want to take advantage of those opportunities. So Educate Texas is the organization that actually oversees the early college high schools in Texas. And because our Accelerate program really is under that same model, but without the distinction, I thought that it was interesting to kind of show you what they found about students that graduate from early college high schools. So the first thing that they found was that these students actually have a better performance, a 2.5 times better performance in completion of these advanced classes than a student who is outside of an early college high school. And that is because from the very beginning, they have a goal, which is to earn that associate's degree. We also find that those students who participate in a program like this, they are more college ready in math and in writing and reading. We've also found that they actually have a higher high school graduation rate. So because these students are advancing themselves, they actually graduate from high school at a much higher rate than other students. And then what we find is that they actually have a college enrollment rate. So the idea of them getting an associate's and going on and registering and enrolling in more education, we actually find, just like the MCC study found, was that is exactly what we see happen with this group of students. So finally, this one, we have it all put together. So they outperform just the other group of Texas graduates by 42% in advanced course completion, 18% in college enrollment, 22% in degree attainment, and that means that they, over the course of their lifetime, will earn $250,000 more than another Texas graduate. And that means that for the state, that our early colleges right now are bringing in an extra $3.3 billion to our state economy. So it really affects our entire community, getting our kids invested in participating in a program like this. So things to know. Like I said, the course, tuition, fees, books are all paid by Waco ISD. I will tell you that there have been occasions when I have left MCC with $57,000 worth of textbooks in my car, so that I could transport them to the schools to drop them off for kids. And it warms my heart to know that the district has that kind of commitment to our kids, that they're expending money like that to make sure that they have the materials that they need to take these classes. The pathways offer flexibility. So if you access the pathways and you start looking at them, what you'll notice is that the first 2 years of almost all the degree plans are the same. And we did that so that students aren't tied in. If they say, oh, I'm going to go for criminal justice, and then they decide sophomore year, they've taken a class and they really like something else that they want to do, and that doesn't involve criminal justice, we can switch their pathway and still keep them on their degree track. The student support structure is shared between MCC and Waco ISD. So like I said, and Ms. Careyville said, we have people on the campus that are there to help them. They have people at MCC to offer free tutoring, to give counseling. So we really do work together to make sure that the kids are being successful. Students can change the pathways at any time, but the first 2 years are really the ones that are the best to do it in because they're taking basically the same courses. If a student ever does want to change a pathway and gets behind, they can always pick up an extra dual credit course during an elective. It says in the 4-year plans, elective. They can pick up an extra course there, or like I told you, our students can go to MCC during the summer and take dual credit courses, and Waco ISD still pays for them. All of the students that are in the Accelerate program are enrolled in pre-AP core courses. So they will take pre-AP English, Math, Social Studies, and Science. They will also be enrolled as freshmen in their first advanced placement course. Because these courses are really geared toward getting kids college ready, well, these kids are already in college. So we figure that they ought to be taking those courses if we're going to make sure that they're going to stay successful. One of the questions I got last year was, well, if I'm in this, can I actually, be in soccer? Or can I participate in the band? And the answer really is kind of two-part. There's a difference between a co-curricular class or activity and an extracurricular class. A co-curricular class is one that requires that a student to participate in the activity actually be enrolled in a class during the school day. An extracurricular activity is a team that meets after school, outside of school hours. This program does not affect extracurricular participation. And the only way that it affects co-curricular participation is if the student ends up having a scheduling conflict because, let's say, advanced orchestra was offered at the same time as their dual credit biology class. That's where we run into a conflict. So the thing students need to ask themselves is, are they committed to this? Because they can always not take that dual credit biology class, but that also means they won't graduate with their degree. But they might only have 4 classes left to finish it when they graduate. So, really students can participate if they figure out that there's a time they can't participate because it won't allow them to do something else they want to do, then they can always exit the Accelerate program and just be a regular dual credit student. So again, we are here to help open opportunities for students, not place barriers. All right, other things to know? The Accelerate application for next year's cohort will open next week. So by Thursday, I think that our IT department told me it will be online. It'll be on the Waco ISD website. And that application will stay open until the last Friday in January, which is January 27th. At that point, we will pull those down so that we can start looking at the kids, how our different degree pathways have fallen out, and so that we can communicate with the high school how many students it looks like they have in which pathway. Then what has to happen is the students actually have to take the TSI and pass, because you cannot enroll in a dual credit course without having a passing TSI score. And so what we offered last year was we offered a little 2-week camp over the summer, like right after school got out, where we allowed kids to come and take the TSI. If they didn't pass, then we put them on Plato, which is a learning platform, to review the concepts that were weak, and then we allowed them to pass again. And they stayed through in that 2 weeks until they passed. Then if they passed, they finished their dual credit orientation online, and then they didn't have to come back. But any student who is going to be in the Accelerate program has to attend at least the first day of that 2 weeks, because that is the orientation to the program. Dual credit enrollment paperwork for other students. If you're not Accelerate, that will be due by the end of February, because we do course selection. And that is when we start looking at staffing for next year. We figure out how many kids we have per class so that we know what our schedules are going to start to look like. It also gives me the time then to order materials and make sure that I have all the books that I need for those classes. That deadline is also the same deadline if students are interested in registering for a summer dual credit class. So summer and fall are both due at the end of February. High school students may enroll in summer courses, and as long as the course appears on that memorandum of understanding, the contract we have with MCC, and a student sees that that is a course that is going to be valuable to them because it meets something for their future degree or they know it's in the core, then they are welcome to enroll in that. And then 9th grade students, if we have any 9th grade students that are interested in picking up and being in the Accelerate program starting as sophomores, last year we offered the opportunity for 9th graders to do that as long as they agreed to go to MCC during the first summer session and take the 2 courses, the Learning Frameworks course and the Fine Arts course, that they would need to catch up and resume the place on their degree pathway. And that is where those 70 rising sophomores came from. They were all committed enough. We ran a bus every day from both high school campuses It left the high school at 7:30, it came back at 12:30, and they were in class from 8 to 12 at MCC for 4 weeks and ended up with 6 hours of college credit by the end of those 4 weeks. So if there are any ninth graders who are interested in doing that, they still have the opportunity to get in. However, after 10th grade, they are too many courses behind to be able to pick up where they need to be on the degree pathway. So really that offer for Accelerate this year is only for 8th and 9th graders.